Dear friends, liebe Freunde, we want to invite you to declare your solidarity with the democratic opposition in Belarus. We have heard on the incidents in the last weeks, the hijacking of a plane. We know that yesterday started a trial against 3 opposition leaders in the country. And we know that it's not only Belarus where we have attacks on the freedom of expression, on the freedom of association and political persecution, but we thought that it could be an important moment here in this PES event to have a moment of solidarity and to show that international solidarity is in the DNA of our progressive family. Before giving the floor to the president of the Party of European Socialists, just let us look to a short video of the opposition leader, Mrs. Tsikhanouskaya.
Dear friends, let me address you on behalf of the Belarusian people, a nation fighting to restore the rule of law in their country and continuously suffers from arrests and torture. For a long time, this political crisis could seem like an internal Belarusian problem. But now it's evident that Lukashenko and his cronies are a real threat to Europe as well. Just think about it. This regime forcibly landed a plane to kidnap the journalist, floods Europe with contrabanded goods, organizes the flow of migrants, which looks like human trafficking, and threatens the neighbors with war. This has to be stopped. During the last 10 months, I always feel proud of Belarusians who do not give up, who create the incredible network of solidarity in the country and across the globe, who respond to terror with non-violence and creativity. But I'm also worried that the world delays understanding us and seems to prefer words to action. I always remember what my husband Sergei wrote from prison, where he has been for more than 1 year already. I will stay here as long as the people permit it, because it is the people that have the power. I'm sure that Sergei is right, but Belarusians also need help. European Union in general and Progressive Alliance in particular can do more to support the independent media, Belarusian striking committees and independent labor unions, the persecuted doctors and students, the movements of women and the elderly. The systemic pressure on the regime through sanctions can be an effective instrument to stop violence and begin the negotiations about the democratic presidential elections this year, which are the only way out of the current crisis. Thank you for your support.
Yeah, this was the statement. What can we do more? But however, I know that our political family is highly committed to be very clear on this, so please, the floor is yours, Sergei.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Connie, for this initiative of the Progressive Alliance, which is a global organization itself, and it has to address global issues, and it's the right place to react, because after, or at the end, hopefully, of the COVID pandemic and crisis, this is the first big gathering of the social democratic family in Europe where we can address the most urgent, important issues of the political agenda in the European Union and beyond, globally as well. So I think it's a good possibility, many representatives of different parties and sister organizations to the socialist movement in Europe to express very clearly one more time our support to the civil society in Belarus in their fight for democracy, for civil rights. And this is a matter of principle. It's not a geopolitical game on our side. It's the continuation of the tradition, if you wish, of Willy Brandt from 1960s, 1970s, when human rights, human dignity, democracy came to the international agenda thanks to European social democrats, and especially the SPD. And we shall follow this line always, wherever we see in the world, inside of the European Union, in our member states, which are not immune to anti-democratic, returns and efforts from autocratic leaders, or outside, we shall oppose this line very clearly by all democratic political means. But also, I think the European Union strengthened a lot in the last months its political response to the repressions which are executed by Lukashenko and his regime. And this is increasing, and this is a clear reply, not only because of the incident which happened with the Ryanair plane, but because of the principle again, and because we always support the democratic movements in every country in the world. And this is how it will be. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sergei. And I think really our political family stands for a clear message. Social rights, human rights are indivisible. And if there's a credible political family, that's us and nobody else. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before giving the floor to Zita, we will look to a video that was sent by Linde, our comrade, the Swedish Minister of Foreign Affairs.
The situation in Belarus is still terrible. People are still being put in jail just because they are saying what they want on the political situation. Peaceful demonstrators has also been detained. All political prisoners need to be freed. A genuine dialogue between the political opposition and the regimes needs to take place. Belarus needs to be a democratic and prosperous country in the middle of Europe where it belongs.
She would have loved to be with us, but not possible. I have the pleasure to invite my comrade and very much friend and beloved Zita Gurmai, President of PES Women, to make a short statement.
So, dear friends of Belarus, it's a great privilege to show an absolutely strong solidarity for you. I could say that my heart is with you, and I am absolutely proud of women who has been invited, marching and showing that they never give up. So I just wanted to let you know that we need to call on fighting for your democracy. We are with you. PES Women is with you. And I can tell you we had a conference on which we talked to one of your civil society members. And she said that there is a real threat in your country. So that's why I'm standing in an absolute solidarity and showing my little heart. Don't give up the fight. We are with you.
Thank you very much, Zita. Thank you. And now we have a message coming from Sharan Burrow, the Secretary General of the International Trade Union Confederation.
Belarus is a country where people, working people and their families are fighting for democracy. Lukashenko is a dictator. You cannot ascribe to him the stature of being elected when we saw him just steal the elections in the context of simply refusing to give up power. But for working people, it's the repression that also equals the denial of democracy, because you can't have democratic rights and freedoms if you have an authoritarian government. And we have seen this for all too long. This government has continued to reject the recommendations of the ILO. They've continued to repress the voice of independent trade unions, and indeed they've taken legal action against those activists who wanted to stand up for freedom. Freedom of association is critical. It's critical to democracy, it's critical to the rights of working people, it's critical to the rights of citizens. If in fact this country is not sanctioned seriously, if we can't see a transformation to democracy, then people have little hope of a future where they can live with the knowledge that their rights are respected, that they can build a secure future, that we can see the investment in jobs and the representation of working people. Let's all work, and you have a voice of authority here. Let's all work to actually see
It's a problem with the video.
It's a pity.
Okay. but we're nearly at the end. Clear message also from the side of Sharan Burrow, ITUC Secretary General. I have the pleasure to welcome now Jacquata Pelle for Partito Democratico from Italy, for her message.
I think it's very important that the Progressive Alliance and that the European Socialists decided to have a moment in solidarity with Belarus, exactly here in Berlin, at the first meeting that we are having in presence. We are in the heart of our continent, Europe. We tend to think that this continent is a continent of freedom, is a continent of solidarity, is a continent of rights. But there is one country where this is not like that, and that's Belarus. It's a country where you still have the death penalty, where you still have more than 500 prisoners of conscience and political prisoners, where you have a president that is not a president, but is a dictator. And it's important for all of us to say that we are proud and we are close to the Belarusian people, that still today, almost a year after the 9th of August elections, are still protesting at the risk of their lives, at the risk of their freedom. We are with them. They're not stopping, and we should not stop supporting them. We met, as Italians, we met Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya in September. We welcomed Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya a few weeks ago in Italy. We will continue fighting and standing by them in Italy and in Europe, because this is a continent of freedom. This is a continent for the people. It's not a dictatorship, while Belarus is, and we should not leave them alone.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your message. Well, repression against progressives is not only something happening in Europe, it's also happening outside of Europe. And in particular, actually, those who are suffering are also our comrades in Zimbabwe from the Movement of Democratic Alliance. So please have a look to the video from Nelson Chamisa, the president of MDC Alliance.
Revolutionary greetings to you, fellow comrades. On behalf of the MDC Alliance in Zimbabwe, all progressive Zimbabweans, and on my own behalf, I wish to express our firm solidarity with you, the great people of Belarus, and also the Belarusian democracy movement, for your fight against dictatorship and tyranny, and your fight for freedom. We share your pain and we identify with your struggle, because a threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Your struggle is our struggle. Your struggle is a people's struggle, and it is a global struggle. In addition, there are striking similarities between the Zimbabwean situation and the Belarusian situation. Zimbabwe and Belarus are twins in oppression. They are twins in dictatorship. In particular, we've seen persistent electoral fraud, targeting of the opposition. Human rights defenders have been targeted. Brutality by the state, as other entrenched tactics that are meant to deepen authoritarian consolidation. This pandemic must be nipped in the bud. We've also observed a number of countries that continue to conduct elections without choice, with a fallacy of democracy, a fallacy of electoral competition, where we are seeing authoritarianism rearing its ugly head. We are witnessing the rise in the phenomenon of elections without change. This is a dangerous phenomenon on the globe, particularly when we look at other countries like Belarus and Zimbabwe, Uganda included, where opposition is never given an opportunity to campaign freely, but also to market their alternative ideas. Elections are rigged. There is disputed elections everywhere, producing unstable and illegitimate governments that are not good for those countries. Dictators like Museveni, Mnangagwa, and Alexander Lukaschenko have mastered the art of deception and chicanery, where elections are ritualistically and religiously held as a way of just fulfilling the fixture. Yet consistently, elections are stolen through a menu of manipulation, including unfair electoral practices, a rugged and rigged playing field, and outright rigging of the election itself in announcement of false and fake results, doctored results, manipulated results. We condemn the heavy-handedness of security forces in dealing with the protesters in Belarus and call for an end to an ongoing arbitrary abuse of the law, ongoing arbitrary arrests, and also our opposition fellow compatriots who are being subjected to torture and other forms of ill treatment, inhuman, degrading treatment, and even subjected to degrading conditions in incarceration. The world must push back on such dictators and hold these dictators to account. We urge Mr. Lukaschenko to immediately step down and allow a democratic transition through free, fair, and credible elections under international supervision with the endorsement of all the key stakeholders in Belarus. The will of the people must be respected. Peace must prevail. The people must govern. The people's will must not be negated. It must be upheld. Democracy must be defended. Luta continua. Victory is certain for all progressive forces. Keep fighting. We are with you. We fight together. Together we shall conquer and make the world a free world, a democratic world, a peaceful world. I thank you.
That was the message from Southern Africa, from our comrade Nelson Chamisa, president of MDC Alliance. Now I have the pleasure to welcome Katarina Levlalo from Slovakia, vice president of the Party of European Socialists. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Connie. I'm sorry, my friends, and I feel sorry for all the people who are struggling, and it's very sad for me that now in the 21st century, when we can travel to the space, we can travel to the moon and even further, we can immediately, constantly connect with anybody in the world with a mobile phone. We still have the people who are suffering poverty, who are suffering inequality, and who are suffering suppression of the regimes. And even in the Europe, where I live in Europe, in the most developed part of the world, which we consider, there is still a country like Belarus, which is oppressing its own people, and it's not giving them the freedom, equality, and all what the rights these people deserve. So I would like to say to all my friends in Belarus, Volga, and all of you, we are here with you, we are standing with you, and we will support you, because freedom, equality, and democracy is something which everybody deserves, wherever these people live. So keep fighting, we are standing right behind you, and we will be there forever. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Katarina. We have now the video coming from Nicaragua, from our friends from UNAMOS, who are also heavily persecuted.
Saludos, compañeras, compañeros, amigas, amigos. Desde el Partido Unión Democrática Renovadora UNAMOS de Nicaragua, queremos saludar este evento y desear el mejor de los éxitos en el intercambio y en los debates. El futuro de Europa solamente puede estar asociado a la democracia, al progreso incluyente, a la defensa del medio ambiente y al respeto y a la promoción de los derechos humanos en cualquier parte del mundo. Desde nuestra propia lucha queremos expresar nuestra solidaridad con la lucha del pueblo de Bielorrusia y en particular con la lucha de nuestro partido hermano, el Partido Socialdemócrata. Su lucha es nuestra lucha. En las últimas semanas, la dictadura de Ortega en Nicaragua ha ejecutado una escalada represiva, encarcelando a precandidatos presidenciales, dirigentes políticos y persiguiendo a periodistas. Ortega está matando, eliminando la posibilidad que las elecciones de noviembre sean libres. En esta ola de represión, 6 miembros de nuestra directiva nacional, incluyendo nuestra presidenta Suyen Barahona, han sido detenidos. En situaciones como esta, la solidaridad activa de los partidos amigos de la Alianza Progresista es fundamental. Agradecemos todas las muestras de solidaridad que hemos recibido y les instamos a desarrollar mayores acciones, mayores presiones contra el régimen de Daniel Ortega en procura de la liberación de los presos políticos, en procura del respeto a los derechos humanos. Muchas gracias a todos.
This was a statement of our friends from UNAMOS, and in particular the party leader, Sharan Burrow, is in prison for 11 days now already. So therefore it's important not only to speak in one country, but to also not to forget about Nicaragua. Now it's my pleasure to invite Alicia Holmes, the president of Young European Socialists, to take the floor on the question of Belarus and solidarity.
Yes, thank you, Connie. Well, I think that the citizens of Belarus are wishing for a change in their country. We saw it in the last elections rigged by the regime, and Lukashenko's authoritarian rule has to come to an end. After 26 years of darkness, Belarusians know it's time to start building a democratic system of their own. So the Belarusian opposition, led by a brave woman, is an example for all of us. Social democrats around Europe have the duty to support them in their fight for their people's fundamental rights and their freedom. The regime is scared, and it shows the intensification of the repression, and it is really unacceptable. So more than 32,000 people has been arbitrarily arrested. There are close to 500 political prisoners, and we report at least 4,500 cases of torture. Plus the hijacking of the plane a few weeks ago to arrest the journalist Roman Protasevich is a direct provocation to the European Union. So for all these reasons, I think that the European Union has to maintain a united position to face this issue. We cannot accept more episodes of a hijack. No dictator will put at risk the rights and security of EU citizens, and I think that all societies in the world are more than capable of organizing themselves through inclusive systems, and no one needs dictators and extractive elites. So European Social Democrats will always be by the side of people in all around the world.
Thank you very much, Alicia. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie.
I now invite Viktoria Linde, who is Vice President of USI, the International Socialist Youth Movement, recently elected. So the floor is yours, Viktoria, please.
Yes, thank you. So I think Germany, the European Union, and the international community should care for Belarus a lot, as Lukashenko is repressing its people, beating them up, throwing them into jails for just small things like wearing white, red colored socks, which just recently my comrade told me from Belarus. And even my comrade from MSDMH within UC got arrested in April and thrown into jail. So we care a lot for Belarus, and I think it's our responsibility as social democrats and socialists to care for those who are repressed, who are beaten up by the regimes, who are threatened with their lives. It is within our history to help them and to show them solidarity. And this is why I think also the youth and women take a great part, a great stance in this fight and in the struggle. Within the last year, what we see from Roman Protasevich as well, who is now repressed by the regime, and many, many more of our comrades and my comrades from our youth partner youth organization. So I wanted to say, Ms. Vami, you are never alone. We are always with you, and keep on fighting.
Ms. Vami.
Ms. Vami.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for all the contributions. We were on Facebook Live. We will have a video, send all these contributions and statements to our friends in Belarus, and want to show again the democratic opposition in Belarus. Yes, we understand we need to go to action. Yes, you can count on us. Yes, you can count on our political family. We stand in solidarity. Thank you.